It is like pretty much the way that I'm going to cook these ribs is the same way you can cook any rib. You can cook a spare rib this way, you can cook a baby back rib this way. The only difference between a baby back and a spare rib is they're actually coming from the same cut. You can think of a spare rib because they're anatomically almost the same as a pig in size, right? At least I am. So, you know, a spare rib is going to come more from your belly region, right? On the flip side of your spare rib is where you're going to get a pork belly, where you're going to get bacon. At the top end, where these bones have been sliced, right up here at the top, at the curvature of that pig's back, is going to be the baby back ribs. But on top of the ribs, you get the sternum bone, right? It's just the same sternum bone is right there. It's about the same size. But if you ever cook the ribs with that sternum bone attached, you'll know that whenever you get down to the end, you can't split between the ribs. And it's usually a pain, right? So what a lot of people will do is you can take a knife and you can come through, because it's just cartilage. You can come right through that cartilage and you can bust off that sternum bone portion. Now, whenever you get done to slice those ribs, you can slice right between the cartilage. So you can trim it up or trim the fat off, as he said. But the most important thing you've got to do when you're preparing a pork spare rib is to peel this membrane off. And the best way I can tell you to do that is to take a knife and just make a slit. Not real deep, just between two of the ribs. You know, just make a slit like this. And then what you can do is, if you're on a table or something, you can just start working your fingers under it, and it'll actually peel almost like paper. So once you peel it, you're ready to put on the dry rub. I like olive oil, so I'll take and I'll pour it on the ribs on both sides, rub them down real good, and then I can go get any generic pork rub you want. Some guys use salt and pepper, some guys use their own secret rub. So take and rub them down really good with that dry rub on both sides, and then you're ready to go onto the grill. The second most important thing to the whole system is making sure that you don't cook the ribs directly over the coals. Is if you cook them directly over the coals, without a doubt, you're going to end up with one thing: a dry, tough piece of meat. I don't put any meat on the grill until the coals are completely white. Not one black spot in them. They're almost just cooked down to a nice, hot pile of coals. And then underneath, I made this can out of a piece of tinfoil and just filled it full of water. You can fill it full of a marinade. You can fill it full of beer. Guys have all these things they want to do. What that's going to do, though, you're going to cook under indirect heat, so you're not straight over the coals. Plus, it's going to keep that environment pretty humid. The drier it is in that grill, the more moisture it's going to pull from the ribs. This is right here. This is apple juice and Worcester sauce. So it's 1 part Worcester to 5 part applesauce. After about 45 minutes, just start spraying them, and then spray them about every 20 minutes to half hour from then on. After 2.5 to 3 hours at fairly low heat, you want to take these ribs and wrap them up in foil. Make sure that you put some of that spritzer in there with it. I like to go 3 hours over the coals, 2 hours in foil. Now that these have been sitting in there for a while, you can take and just tear them apart.